If you talk to first-generation Toyota GT86 owners who kept their car past 60,000 miles, you will hear them complain about carbon buildup, oil consumption, oil starvation problem on track days, and a torque dip they learned to live with. The second generation was supposed to be different. Dual injection to prevent carbon, better oil control, and a proper power curve. Today, we're digging into whether they actually solved the problems or just convinced us to forget about them long enough to buy the next one. Welcome to a comprehensive Toyota GR86 and BRZ reliability guide. The most significant change for the second generation is under the hood. Gone is the 2-liter FA20 engine, replaced by a larger 2.4-liter naturally aspirated boxer engine designated FA24. This engine produces 228 horsepower in the Toyota 86 and 228 horsepower in the BRZ, though Subaru claims their version makes 2 additional pound-feet of torque thanks to different tuning. In reality, these differences are negligible, and both cars perform identically. The FA24 engine shares its basic architecture with the unit found in the Subaru Ascent and Outback, though it's been significantly modified for sports car duty. The most important distinction is that this version runs on port and direct injection rather than direct injection alone, which immediately addresses one of the biggest issues plaguing modern engines: carbon buildup on intake valves. This dual injection system is brilliant engineering. At lower RPMs and lighter loads, the engine uses direct injection for efficiency. When you demand power and climb into the upper rev range, port injection kicks in, washing fuel over the intake valves and preventing carbon deposits from forming. This means you can drive your 86 or BRZ hard without worrying about the carbon buildup nightmare that haunts so many direct injection engines. It's a solution that shows Toyota and Subaru were thinking about longevity, not just performance. The FA24 also benefits from a modest compression ratio of 12.5 to 1, which is high enough to extract good power, but conservative enough to avoid the extreme stress that kills engines prematurely. Unlike some manufacturers pushing compression ratios to dangerous limits, Subaru and Toyota chose a balanced approach that favors reliability over maximum output. The previous generation engine had well-documented issues with excessive oil consumption, particularly in cars driven hard or tracked regularly. The good news is that the FA24 appears to have largely resolved this problem. Oil consumption is now minimal to non-existent when the engine is properly broken in and maintained. For break-in, follow the manual's recommendations religiously. Vary your RPMs, avoid sustained high-speed runs, and don't exceed 4,000 RPMs for the first 1,000 miles. Proper break-in allows the piston rings to seat correctly, which is crucial for minimizing oil consumption throughout the engine's life. Unfortunately, the second generation didn't fully eliminate the risk of oil starvation. The FA24 is better in terms of oil control, but it still isn't invincible when subjected to sustained cornering loads. For serious track use, many owners install baffled oil pans, external oil coolers, or even increase total oil capacity to keep the system stable during extreme driving. These upgrades aren't about squeezing out performance, they're about keeping the engine alive. Toyota and Subaru recommend 6,000-mile oil change intervals, which is reasonable for normal driving. However, if you track your car, drive it hard regularly, or live in extreme climates, cutting that interval to 3,000 or 4,000 miles is cheap insurance. Track days are particularly brutal on oil, and if you're doing multiple track sessions, consider changing oil after every track weekend. Use only 0W20 synthetic oil that meets the manufacturer's specifications. Some owners swear by heavier weight oils like 5W30 for track use or hot climates, but unless you're running dedicated track sessions in extreme heat, stick with 0W20. The engine was designed around this viscosity, and modern synthetic 0W20 oils provide excellent protection even under hard use. The oil filter is easily accessible on top of the engine, making do-it-yourself oil changes straightforward. The cooling system in the second generation received improvements over the original, with better airflow and a more efficient radiator design. However, for street driving, the cooling system is more than adequate. The engine runs at consistent temperatures even during spirited mountain runs, and overheating is extremely rare. The coolant should be changed every 60,000 miles or 5 years, whichever comes first. Both the 86 and BRZ offer a choice between a 6-speed manual and a 6-speed automatic. The manual is the enthusiast choice, offering precise shifts and perfect rev matching when you want it. The automatic, while competent, doesn't suit the character of these cars unless you have specific reasons for choosing it, such as physical limitations or heavy traffic commuting. The manual transmission is robust and built to handle abuse. It's derived from units used in other Subaru applications and has proven reliable even under track conditions. Clutch life varies dramatically based on driving style, but expect 60,000 to 80,000 miles with normal use. Aggressive drivers, or those who frequently launch the car, will see clutch life drop to 40,000 miles or less. The transmission fluid should be changed every 30,000 miles for optimal performance and longevity. The rear differential requires similar attention. Change the differential fluid every 30,000 miles using 75 WW90 synthetic gear oil. This service is often overlooked but critical for maintaining smooth operation and preventing premature wear on the ring and pinion gears. We need to discuss the issue that nearly derailed the second generation's launch, the valve spring recall. Early production cars suffered from valve springs that could fracture, potentially causing catastrophic engine damage. This affected vehicles built before a specific production date, and both Toyota and Subaru issued recalls to replace the affected valve springs. If you're buying a used second generation 86 or BRZ, verify that this recall was completed. Contact the dealer with the VIN and confirm the valve springs were replaced under the recall campaign. This is non-negotiable. A car with unresolved valve spring issues is a ticking time bomb, regardless of how good a deal it seems. For cars that had the valve springs replaced under recall, there have been no reported issues. The replacement parts are manufactured to correct specifications and should last the life of the engine. This was a manufacturing defect, not a design flaw, and affected cars that received the recall repair are perfectly safe. The suspension on both cars is beautifully tuned and remarkably durable. The McPherson strut front and double wishbone rear setup delivers excellent handling with minimal maintenance requirements. There are subtle differences between Toyota and Subaru tuning, with the BRZ generally considered slightly firmer, but both cars handle superbly. Wear items are minimal and predictable. The front control arm bushings might show wear around 80,000 miles, particularly if you regularly drive on rough roads or track the car. Rear suspension bushings are similarly durable. Shock absorbers are excellent from the factory and typically don't require replacement until well past 100,000 miles unless you're tracking the car regularly. Wheel bearings are robust and rarely cause issues. Tire wear is even when alignment is maintained properly. Though aggressive drivers may see the rear tires wear slightly faster due to the car's tendency toward oversteer when pushed, have the alignment checked annually if you drive hard, and immediately after any suspension work or impact with curbs or potholes. The brake system is more than adequate for spirited street driving, with good pedal feel and strong stopping power. For track use, the brakes are the first limitation you'll encounter. The pads and rotors are sized for street duty, and repeated hard stops from high speeds will cause brake fade. If you plan track days, budget for upgraded brake pads and high-temperature brake fluid as your first modifications. The factory brake fluid should be changed every 20,000 miles or 2 years for street cars, and before every track season if you're tracking the car. Brake fluid is hygroscopic, meaning it absorbs moisture from the air, which lowers its boiling point and can lead to brake fade or failure. Front brake pads typically last 40,000 to 50,000 miles with normal driving, while rears can last 70,000 miles or more. Aggressive drivers will see these numbers drop significantly. Rotors are durable and usually outlast at least 2 sets of pads before requiring replacement. The RTV sealant issue from the first generation appears to be resolved in the second generation, with no widespread reports of RTV blocking oil passages. However, given the history, some owners still perform early oil changes at 1,000 miles as a precaution to flush any potential manufacturing debris. Wind noise from the door seals is occasionally reported, particularly on the driver's side at highway speeds. This seems to be a quality control issue affecting some cars, but not all. If your car exhibits this problem and it bothers you, replacement door seals or adjustment of the door alignment can resolve it. The touchscreen can develop phantom touches or become unresponsive in extreme cold. This appears to be a software issue rather than hardware failure, and typically resolves once the car warms up. If it persists, dealer software updates may help. The second-generation Toyota 86 and Subaru BRZ represent what happens when manufacturers get a second chance to perfect a formula. These cars addressed virtually every mechanical complaint from the first generation while maintaining the engaging character that made them special. The larger engine provides more power exactly where you want it. The improved chassis delivers even sharper handling, and the dual injection system eliminates the carbon buildup concerns that plague so many modern engines. Proper maintenance is straightforward and affordable, with no exotic fluids or complex procedures required. If you're considering one of these cars, buy with confidence. Check that any recalls, particularly the valve spring recall, have been completed. Look for service records showing regular oil changes, and avoid examples with evidence of abuse such as excessive tire wear, burned clutches, or modifications suggesting hard track use without corresponding maintenance. These are the sports cars enthusiasts have been demanding: affordable, engaging, reliable, and practical enough for daily use. With proper care and attention to basic maintenance, the second-generation 86 and BRZ will reward you with driving pleasure and reliability for many years and well over 150,000 miles.